What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Casual Conversation with Will and Gary. This is episode number 18, my friends. Thank you for stopping by. Me and Gary have a good one lined up for you today. We talk about some events that we saw in the news over the past couple of weeks. Gary talks about doing yoga. He's going to be doing yoga for the next 100 days every day, so that was interesting. We talk about the dark times of civilization and how it has progressed throughout the years. We also talk about how not to get wrapped up in material things and how to individualize yourself in a society that is ever changing. And to finish it off, we talk about Gary's core values and what he believes to be important in his life. But thank you guys for stopping by. I'm sure we'll have something in here that you could enjoy. And as always, I hope you guys enjoy the show.
Welcome to the greatest podcast on the face of the earth.
And we are back again.
Back in Black. I think I've already used
For the
that
second time. We did that last episode.
one. Yeah, I know.
That's okay. We are back, though, for episode number. Do you know what this is, Gary?
18.
18.
Dude, we're approaching 20. That's crazy.
Wow.
Just think, we've been consistently pounding these out. We missed 1 week, but I plan on making 2 in 1 week.
Oh, yeah. Well, sometime we'll get one back in the
See, I think the way
in
that
the
we need to
holding
do
tank.
that, which I want to talk about guests at the end of the podcast and getting another guest on, but when we do get another guest on, I say that we do a guest one and then just do a regular one in 1 week to kind of catch back up.
Yeah. And then always, then you could have a guest one on hand for any time.
Yeah, for sure.
And then, like, nobody would expect it. Just drop it in the middle of the week. Just, ping, there it is, you know?
Yeah.
Catch them by surprise.
But anyways, what did you get into this week, Will?
This week. Let's see. We did the podcast on Thursday. So, actually, my wife was out of town last weekend. So...
Yeah. Continue.
I was eating peanut butter and jelly.
He had stuff all over his face.
So it was just me and the dogs here by ourselves all weekend.
Me and the dogs. Did you let them out?
Not let them in. We were chilling.
Heck
But
yeah.
no, that all that meant was nerd mode activated. I played video games. I'm not even going to say how many hours I played video games, but it was a lot for sure.
Heck yeah, what all did you play? What games?
A
are
Call
you
of Duty,
into
man.
now?
Call of Duty. It was double XP. So you got double the experience points. So,
Heck yeah.
I mean, I was just cranking it out. And then Saturday, what did I do Saturday? Oh, our buddy Paxton came over and our buddy Zachary came over. We just hung out, watched some All-Star festivities. The NBA All-Star game.
I heard the like a no-name guy from OKC was the one that won the dunk contest.
Yeah, and he should have too. Well deserved. They were trying to get it to where he wasn't gonna win. Like this one guy did a dunk before him, and it wasn't as good as his, but he got a higher score. It was rigged, but he still won because he was so good.
Yeah. What was his last name? Was it
Oh
like
no, I don't even know his name. I
it
can't
was
even
like
pronounce his
something
name.
wild.
Yeah, I couldn't even pronounce
We'll
it.
just leave it there.
Yeah, and then
Hey, who won this 3-point contest?
this dude from the Nets I've never heard of.
Yeah.
Some white guy.
Who all was there? A lot of competition in the.
Yeah, dude, like Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, Kyrie Irving, I think.
Oh dang!
Dirk Nowitzki.
Wow.
Who else was there? There's somebody else.
So there were a lot of sharp shooters. And
Oh
he
yeah,
beat
for
'em.
sure. Yeah, he beat Steph Curry in the finals.
Heck yeah.
Represent Brooklyn Nets, baby.
Yeah.
But
awesome.
no, other than that, that was Saturday. Sunday just hung out, and then Monday went back to work. And then here we are on Thursday. Oh, this is Friday.
And how was school this week?
How was school? Oh, I had my first exam.
Examination.
First examination, and I didn't do so hot.
What?
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I did okay. I got an 89%.
Oh my gosh.
I wanted the 90. But I got the 89.
What kept you from the 90? What kept you from the A?
I don't know. We haven't had class since then, so
Was it in Herman's class?
No, it was in accounting. I haven't got
Oh.
to look at the test results.
Well, I can
I just
tell
saw the
you.
grade.
I can tell you, I would not have made an 89 or higher in an accounting test.
I'm surprised.
I
I'm
assure
actually.
you.
Well, here's the thing. I've taken accounting 2 times already. This is my 3rd time.
Oh my
so
gosh.
The first 4 chapters, I'll always have an A in. And this was over the first 4 chapters. I'll always have an A in the first 4 chapters. Every time I've taken the class, that's been the case. Because it's the easiest material.
So wait, why are you taking it a 3rd time?
Because I failed both the first time.
You failed both the first time and you
yes,
had
we've
an
already
A
talked about this.
through the first 4 chapters?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
How bad? Like, does it get that much harder?
No, I was like, oh, dude, I'm doing pretty good. I got an A. And then I didn't do my homework, didn't go to class. And then
Yeah.
I just snowballs on top of each other.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
That's a smart move. That's a strategic move. We're going to talk a little bit about strategy later.
What's a
in the
strategic
podcast.
move?
Not attending class or paying attention after the first 4 chapters.
That's a bad strategic move.
Yeah, I was being sarcastic. Did you not hear the sarcasm?
No.
Okay.
You're
well,
pretty monotone right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah, dude. I took a nap.
Are you
I just-
sleepy?
I just
You need to
woke-
wake up.
I just woke up from a nap. I'm sorry. Here.
Have you had a nap today?
Yeah, I have. It's good to take naps, says Matthew Walker.
Okay.
PhD.
Well, just get a little
Sleep science.
Get a little juice going. You
Yeah,
know?
dude. Hold on. All right, I've got a little more vibrance in my voice now.
You don't have to go over the top.
Yeah,
I just-
dude. We'll talk a little bit about strategic thinking later in the podcast. Oh man, but no. Did you? Okay, before I talk about my week, breaking news. What about that one dude that staged his own beating?
Oh yeah. Hang on, let me look up his name. I don't remember his name.
Well, he's an actor of sorts.
Yeah,
and
on
apparently
a real popular show too.
yeah, and he like paid some people to lynch him. Is that what you said?
They beat him up, and then, dude, this is terrible to say. They beat him up, and then he made it look like they were trying to lynch him. Like they put a rope around his neck. And like when the police got there to the crime scene, he still had a rope around his neck, but the guys were gone.
Poor guy.
Yeah, but it was fake, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Man, that's big
Jussie. His
time.
name was Jussie,
Not Jesse.
not Jesse.
Jussie.
Jussie Smollett. Smollet.
Jussie Smollett.
Jussie Smollett.
Well,
Is Jesse
what do you think? What do you think about that?
dude? Okay, I'll give my 2 cents on it since you're
Give me-
asking
give
for
me
it.
your 2
Since you're
cents.
asking for it, I think that. Well, first of all, we'll start by saying this. Gary, I think you would agree. Hate crimes.
Hey, don't put words in my mouth.
No, I'm saying I think you would agree. Hate crimes of any kind should not be tolerated. I agree with that. They should be punishable by law. They should be anyone who acts in that way should be brought to justice. You know what I mean? I don't condone
define hate crime
a hate crime. Let's see. Abusing someone because of their race or ethnicity
or belief.
or belief, I think you could say.
So like you could okay.
Or physically assaulting them. I don't know what actually classifies as a hate crime. Probably not letting somebody do something because of their race or ethnicity, I would say. Like not letting
Or
someone
belief.
in somewhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think that's what that is categorized as.
Okay. So we shouldn't have hate crimes.
So we should have hate crimes. We're good. We got that settled. We don't condone hate crimes. We don't agree with them. But what this guy did was he faked the hate crime for publicity and somewhat of greed, because you knew that in a normal case like this, he would receive some sort of compensation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not just that, popularity, because he's a famous, TV actor.
Yeah, they say any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, well, except for his, because he's, being charged now. He's the one that's actually being
He
charged
took it
now
too far.
for falsifying a police report.
He took it too far.
He took it too far. But he, I just think it's sad because now, whenever there actually is a hate crime of some sort, then people are going to, second guess themselves or question whether it's reputable or not, whether it's true.
Yeah.
And it might actually be true, It's like the boy who cried wolf, crying wolf, crying wolf, crying wolf. The wolf actually shows up. You say something, and then it's like everybody just brushes it to
Everybody
the side.
questions, is it actually the wolf?
Yeah, and then what happens? You get eaten by the wolf. You know, it just ends
Exactly.
badly for everybody. So
Wow, that was poetic, Will.
I know.
That was poetic.
But man, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar enough with the story, I should say, to go into great detail about it. But you know,
Yeah, I don't know.
It's just like anything nowadays. Like, it just seems like everybody is trying to get ahead by being victimized by something. Like, everybody's looking for something to not complain about, but to get ahead with being a victim. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, because people take sympathy in that. And if you actually are a victim of something, rightfully so, you know, people should take sympathy in what's happened to you. But faking it just to get ahead, I think is, you know, a pretty sorry move.
Yeah, that's definitely not owning like what is happening in reality.
Yeah, it's like a false sense of reality.
Definitely. It's like you're trying to make something out of nothing instead of taking like 100% responsibility for what actually is.
Yeah.
It's like you're trying to create a facade. And so, yeah, it's funny you mentioned that, because I was actually going to talk about this. That is what you have to do in order to not have like a victim mentality. So what is a victim mentality? It is thinking all the time that everyone is against you, the odds are against you, so there's no way that you can go out and do something. And to relate it to his situation, he was trying to get himself like more popularity and publicity, and try and sway things in the media or whatever.
Yeah, and especially during this time, because it's a very politically charged time in America right now.
It's like he's afraid of what actually is. Like he's not like grounded in who he is and what actually is. Like he's trying to like make moves because he's living out of fear.
Yeah, he was like trying to make a statement about the people that are his opposition, not necessarily that oppose him in a bad way, just people that are different thinking than him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and the reason I say he's not grounded is because that's like a super unstable move.
Yeah,
like, that he pulled, and so take 100% responsibility for what you do, like what actually is. Don't like try and lie to yourself. Like be objective. Try and take bias out of how you look at everything, and that'll help you a lot, and not play in that victim role and thinking all the time that everything's against you. You know?
Yeah. Yep. That's true.
And if you don't, if you do play a victim role, you'll be very unstable and make unstable moves, like our fellow in the news.
Yeah. No kidding. And with everything, you can also take what not to do in a situation like this, or in a situation ever, is from anything bad that happens to somebody or unfortunate thing that happens to somebody, you can always take away positive and just give you the idea of what not to do.
Yeah, you use it as a mirror.
Yeah.
You use it as a mirror, you look at it and you're like, that's probably not how I need to be acting.
That's probably not the best idea.
But it's like with good and bad, there's not good without bad. So when you see bad, you can like get a better idea of what good actually is.
Yeah. It like exemplifies it more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So take the small kernel of good that you can find out of situations.
Yeah, that's a good way to end it. That's a good way to wrap up.
No, we were talking about breathing on our last episode.
Oh yeah.
And I'd like to talk about my yoga that I've been doing, because with yoga you have to basically integrate breathing and movements of the body, and like holding poses and just really focusing on your breath. And I want to talk about some of the benefits that I have seen since I've started doing this. I'm on day 9 of doing an hour's worth of yoga every day. So I do it the first thing when I wake up in the mornings. And normally, okay, so I have a very small sinus cavity, kind of personal information, but
How big is it, Gary?
it's it's pretty small. Your sinus cavity is supposed to be like the size of a walnut, and mine is like the size of a like a soybean.
I still don't believe that. He's been saying that for years.
Oh my god!
You guys ought to hear Gary. Like, if he's just sitting here breathing, this is him. That's what he sounds like.
Yeah, bro. It's because I
don't believe
small.
it.
I got small nasal
I
passages.
just think you're loud.
Anyways, so I like it's a rarity that I walk around daily and like breathe out of both nostrils. and since it's like I'll wake up in the mornings and I'll be like super congested. I have a lot of drainage issues like and stuff when I wake up. And so like when I normally get up before I started doing this yoga, which I mean like my whole life, I just couldn't breathe out of one of my nostrils most of the time. And I'm getting out of bed and I'm like really focusing on breathing in like the first 10, 15 minutes of going through my routine and like breathing really deeply. Dude, I have been like so clear. Like I just like no congestion. My drainage problems have went away. That's one honestly. And of course, yes, I'm like super loose. I feel good. My back doesn't hurt, which because my job, I bend over a lot. I lean over, drawing blood, and my back gets to where it gets a little tight. And since I've started this, man, I'm not in pain. But one of the biggest things for me is just the breathing and what I've noticed that it's done for me. It's cleared up my congestion.
Huh. That's interesting. I didn't know it could do that.
Yeah. And so, like, what we were talking...
Did you know it would do that?
I honestly didn't. But it makes sense. Like, you're just pumping more oxygen in your body, and your body's able to do more. It's more efficient and effective at what it does when you supply it with more and more oxygen.
There you go.
And so we were talking about when we ended last time, really focusing on breathing and how breathing, you get so focused on your nutrition, on your physical fitness and exercising to improve that and your sleep patterns, but we really discount how important correct breathing patterns are.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Like myself, sometimes I'll just be sitting on the couch and I'll just feel like I need to take like a super deep breath. Do you ever do that?
Oh, definitely.
Like it's not that I've been doing anything strenuous or any activity. I'll just be sitting there and I'll just take like a super huge drawn out deep breath just to feel like I gotta like recharge the battery,
Definitely. Definitely.
It's nice though. It's nice.
No, but you said kind of we're just bouncing all over the place. Breathe deep, y'all. Breathe deep.
Deep.
Take a good deep breath with me, Will. Take it. Isn't that complete zen?
Zen. Yep. Yeah, dude.
So you said that you had a story for me.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm getting mad just thinking about it.
Oh my gosh. Just take a deep breath. Take a deep breath.
Okay, so at work the other day, we had the show come in. I won't say what show it was, but in our office, we have, all kinds of equipment. We have a copy machine, a printer, computers. That's where we keep like all our files for, customers coming in to book events and things like that. So what happens is I walk over to the people running the show, right? That's per usual for me. I'll go. Basically, I'm a facility monitor, so I run around and make sure the show is running well. Ask the person in charge if they need anything, check the trash, sweep up, pick up trash, things like that. So I walk up to the event coordinator, that's what we call him, and I say, "Hey, do you need anything? Everything going okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, everything's fine. Everything's going good. We're doing good." Well, and I was like, "Okay, well, let me know if you need anything, So I walk away. Probably 10 minutes later, I come back up there around, and I notice the light in our office is on. And the office is like way out of the way from where they're staying at. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
So I go over there, and the copy machine is just like shooting out copies, just
Swing.
And I was like, who's making copies? Like, my boss isn't here. He's the only one that ever makes copies. So I was like, this is kind of weird. So I walk out, and I go ask the lady. I was like, hey, is everything okay? Like, are you making copies in the office? She's like, no. I was like, okay. So I walk back to the office, and this other lady is in there with the show too, and she's just making copies. And I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm just making some copies. I was like, well, did you ask anyone if you could make copies? And she was like, no, the door was unlocked and I couldn't find anyone to ask. So I just came in here and started making copies. And I was like, get out of here. What are you doing? Like, you can't just walk into somebody's office and start using their equipment when it's not yours. It was just so.
You told him to get out?
Yeah, I was like, you can't be making copies. Get out of here. And she was like, well, there wasn't anybody in here, and I just needed to make some copies. I was like, you cannot make copies. You got to get out of here. And
golly, Will, what a meanie.
Okay, this is what I compare it to. Say you go, I don't know, you go to McDonald's, right?
Okay.
And
at McDonald's.
You're at McDonald's. The line's pretty long, so you're like, man, I really kind of want an ice cream cone. So you just walk behind the counter and start helping yourself to an ice cream cone. And a worker comes up to you and says, what are you doing? And you say, well, the line was pretty long and nobody was helping me, so I just walked behind the counter and started making an ice cream. You know what I mean? You don't just walk back somewhere. It's like somebody knocks on your door at your house.
Yeah.
And you're not home. You don't answer. And they go, hello, anybody here? No. They open the door. They say, hello, anybody here? Hello? Nobody answers. You're not home. And they just go inside and go to the kitchen and start making a sandwich. Like, have some respect. Where's the respect? It wasn't that. The whole point about it was not that she was making copies. Like, it cost us like 10 cents a copy to make copies, you know? So it really wasn't that big a deal. The big deal was she just walked into our office without asking anyone, and just started making copies. And it made it even worse that the day before, my boss told them that they couldn't make copies because they asked him.
Copies.
They asked him the day before to make some copies, and he was like, no, we don't allow any of our customers to make copies with our equipment. And they were like, okay. And they were like, oh, okay, that's fine.
She knew better.
Yeah. And they're grown adults.
She knew better. She's trying to take, we were talking about the system last time. She was trying to work the system.
She wasn't even working anything. She just went back there. That blows my mind. Acting like a freaking little kid.
R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Find out what it means to me. Respect,
apparently
man.
It doesn't mean very much to some people. But holy cow. That just grinded my gears. I was so mad.
I can tell. I can hear it in your voice.
Yeah. It was annoying.
I can hear the frustration.
And with that being said, I'll say this. For everybody out there, have respect for other people's things, okay? And especially if you're an adult. I can understand if you're a kid and you do something you're not supposed to. You break something, you use something you're not supposed to. But if you're an adult and you go and use something that somebody said not to use, first of all. Second of all, you don't ask anyone if you can use it. Third of all, like, there's like documents and stuff in there that the public isn't supposed to see. You know what I mean? Like there's people's personal information like right by the desk where she was making copies.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. You just got to have respect for people's things.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying. I'm done with it. I'm getting mad.
Yeah, I can tell. Let's change topics.
Okay.
So I heard an interesting statement this week that I was like, whoa, that's kind of mind blowing. And maybe it'll blow your mind, maybe it won't. But here's the statement. It's that in today's time, we think that we're out of the dark ages as far as just progression of humankind. But we're still in the dark ages, man. Like, think about how we always think, oh, we've got all this great technology, which we do in relativity to what we've had in the past. But think about how much more new stuff we've had in just the last 2 years, and how much we're gonna have in the next 20 to 100 years. And think about this as far as like the progression of humankind and how we treat each other. So, for example, we still have like very, very primal cultures, like over in the Middle East, they're killing each other. And like as a whole, like the planet, like as a whole, like how we've progressed, like I don't know, our awareness, our consciousness, if you will. You think about like back in the Roman Catholicism times. I mean, they were still killing people back then, and we've progressed up until this point. But really, I mean, that's really only in first world countries that we've progressed that far.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So like, everybody thinks that we're like, which we are at the peak, but like the peak is now because it's just the farthest we've gotten. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I'm not saying that we're still in the dark ages, but like the way that I heard that, I was like, wow, it's a really interesting way to look at that. Like we're still like at the very edge, like we're cutting edge, and we're blessed to be where we are in society, because there are still places out there that it's like, if I'm bigger than you, stronger than you, I can take stuff and kill you if I want to. You know what I mean?
That's true. I heard something interesting too, is that if you look back in history, like all great and powerful civilizations only last a certain amount of time. You know what I mean? So say like the Roman Empire, I don't know how long it lasted exactly, but it wasn't more than a few hundred years, was it? You know, 300 years. Like when it was at the top, you know, it was like,
I honestly don't know.
It was like the greatest power in the world.
Yeah, I know that like they used to say the sun doesn't set on the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
It was like all over the world.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is you think about that and think about how long the United States has been of civilization and on top, you know. It's like, those same, not rules, but will history repeat itself, and will our civilization only last so long, or has technology come so far that it can extend further on?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And to that I say, I mean, look at the Chinese. They've had their civilization for a long, long time.
Yeah, that's true.
Like that's one of the most ancient cultures is the Chinese.
Yeah. But I mean, they still practice I feel like this might not be true, but like China is still rooted more in its previous, or in its past in history, than the United States is. Does that make sense? Kinda.
They haven't experienced, I mean, to the extent, I mean, in relativity, they haven't experienced the industrialization as much as we have.
Which is what I'm saying, you know, like you never know what'll happen just because we're pressing the boundaries of places that no civilization has been before, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can't really compare it to previous civilizations of history, but
I'm not a political scientist or sociologist.
No, I'm not either. I just thought it was neat.
I don't know where we're headed, but I just thought that statement was really cool. Like, we're not, people think we know so much, and we do. We know a lot. We know a lot more than we've ever known, but do we really know that much? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
It's just
you know how I feel about it. In 20 years, the whole world will be run by artificial intelligent robots. So
yeah,
we're all doomed.
There'll be no need for thought. We'll just have thoughts programmed into us.
For sure. But
no. What else interesting happened to you this week? Anything?
No, not necessarily anything interesting happened to me per se, but I saw a pretty neat video I'd like to share. I'll see what you think about it.
Okay.
The video, it was on YouTube, and the guy speaking was talking about how people nowadays, and more now than ever, get wrapped up in material things. They get wrapped up in, you know, a phone, a car, a company, a brand, and they take it and make it part of themselves. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's like people want to be associated with that brand, or they want people to associate them as being a proponent of this certain thing, or this phone, or this car, or this, you know, brand of clothing, this what have you. And I just he made the point to how we should differentiate ourselves and our personality from these different things, material things,
Yeah.
and how we shouldn't let that become us, because that's not us. That's its own entity. The material object and company is its own thing. We had no say or no part in them becoming what they are or are going to be. I mean, in all honesty, just because you have an Android phone or I have an Android phone isn't going to affect Samsung or Android phones at all. This one particular phone that I have, you know what I mean? So it's not, I feel like it's not, you shouldn't get so far wrapped up into it that you take offense to anybody that opposes that.
Yeah. Because that's very divisive.
Yeah. It's
Only
like
causes division among
yeah,
people.
and like, so say you have, I'll just use myself. So say I have an Android phone and Gary has an iPhone. He comes up to me and says, "Oh, dude, you got an Android? Androids are so lame, dude, when are you going to get an iPhone?" And I take offense to that because
Team my phone. Team my phone, bro.
But I take offense to that because I'm so enthralled and wrapped up in the brand itself that I consider it part of my identity.
Yeah.
So I get offended when somebody says something against it. But in reality, it has nothing to do with me. It's a whole different thing. I am my own and it is its own. You know what I mean?
Use objects and material things. Don't get so wrapped up in them, but still, use them to express yourself and do what you want to, but don't grow so attached to something that it's embedded in you, because it's not you. You can be many things. You can be whatever you want to. Why would you want to be an item?
Yeah.
You know?
And I'm definitely not saying don't have favorite things. Don't have objects and material things that you like. I mean, obviously we all have things that we like, but don't take it so far as to the extent that it becomes part of you, because you are your own.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel that for sure.
So
I
just thought that was
sure.
an interesting statement. And especially now, you see it all the time. You see people, they have to have this brand, or they have to have this specific thing, or they have to have it this way, or they have their own opinion or this opinion about some, person or something like that. And everyone gets all uptight and offended when somebody opposes their brand or their company that they like.
Yeah. I think diversity is awesome.
Yeah.
Do what you want, do what you like, get what you like.
Yeah. But here's basically what I'm saying, or what I'm getting at with that whole thing, is agree to disagree. We all don't have to like the same thing, but I don't have to bash what you like because I don't like it, or you don't have to bash what I like because you don't like it.
Will's been all about peace, love, and positivity and unity these past few episodes. He's
Dude,
laying
you know
it
what I mean? Okay, let's just keep going with this for a second. I'll give you a challenge. Go on Google or Yahoo or wherever and just type in news and just look at news stories from around the country. Almost every single one of them is either something bad that happened, something somebody did, something negative, somebody died, something bad that's happening in the country. None of it's positive. There's no positive news anywhere. Nobody, it doesn't entice people.
Is that why you think that they put bad stuff out, is because it's not enticing, or they don't put good stuff out because
it doesn't catch people's eye as much as something negative or something controversial.
Why is that, though? Why?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. But me personally, it just makes everything so, well, not everything. I would say it makes, I'll use myself as an example. It makes my I guess my spirit, my attitude, my demeanor, the way I interact with people, it makes it better when I choose to focus on things that are positive instead of negative. It makes it better when you share something positive instead of sharing something negative.
Yeah, you're talking about...
And, some negative things need to be shared and need to be seen because they might be important. But don't always focus on things that are negative, because it just brings down morale.
Yeah. You said you were talking about focus, like when you choose to focus on more positive than negative things, and go back a few episodes and listen to my rant on attention. That is what focus is. Attention is what you choose to focus your energy on. And so choose to focus your energy on things that serve you and help you serve others and empower others.
Yeah, and we talked about that last episode, about how you can give somebody criticism if you're actually trying to help them. It's empowering. We should be empowering each other instead of bringing everybody down because we don't agree. Like, positive influence to other people and positive comments, positive feedback, positive engagement with other people provide more thought amongst those people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it provides an environment also for more thought to be provoked.
Yeah. So, like, for example, if you see somebody says something to you that you don't necessarily agree with or you don't necessarily believe, when you automatically lash out and respond to them in a negative way, putting them down, that's basically the end to the conversation. You basically ended it by saying that you didn't agree, you don't even want to talk about it. But put a positive spin on it. You could say, "Oh, that's interesting. I've never heard it put like that before. Do you have any more details about that? I would like to know." And then that sparks a conversation between two individuals that otherwise wouldn't have talked, because you ended it before by being negative, but through being positive and having a different mindset about it, you kept the conversation going. You might learn something that you didn't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I definitely see what you mean. I'm all about peace, love, and positivity, man.
I'm down.
And I don't know. You hit the nail on the head for sure.
Well, anyway, that's all I got with that, though. Basically, moral of the story is you don't have to be. If you're a negative person, like myself, I was kind of a negative person. I would always see the bad in things. Just do it once a day. Find something that you would normally think was negative or a negative circumstance, and just put a different spin on it. Just do one a day.
Yeah.
Little small baby steps to being positive.
I dig it, Will.
Okay.
So I want to talk about strategy. And how it's an unusual thing for people to think strategically. Most time when people think strategically, they are at work or they are doing something that is not even necessarily for their career, but like they're working around the house doing something mundane or whatever. So that's normally when people are strategic, but I'm talking about being strategic in times of like just thinking about your future. And not a lot of people take a strategic approach. They just kind of go day to day and live life that way. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you feel like you want more out of life and you want to do what you feel like you're called to do, like it's important to have your vision and your values and things of that nature. But it's going to take more than that to accomplish something greater. And that something, a lot of that something, and what gives you kind of the map for that something is strategy. So when I say like strategically thinking about your future, like sit down and map out like in detail what you want, how you're going to get it, like what knowledge you need to acquire to become well versed and just understanding of whatever it is you're pursuing, and the steps that it takes necessary to accomplish that. Because you can be a very good executor, like, for example, people walking around doing, day-to-day things, not really thinking about their future. They can be doing what they're doing good, but they have no plan. So you can be a great executor, but if you don't have a plan, you're not going to be moving very efficiently in a direction. On the other hand, you can be a great planner and not be very good at executing that plan. Talk about what all you're going to do and how you're going to do it, but you never actually do it and execute it. So it's bringing those two things together to be a very effective strategist.
Yeah. I actually saw something interesting the other day. I was reading an article talking about how like the average student loan debt for college graduates, and it was astoundingly high. But the thing I read and got to thinking about was these people are getting their degrees, right? Or they're choosing a master or their degree of choice without having a plan. Is what it kind of ties into what you were saying. Is they're a great student, they obviously are a good student, they graduated college, but during the time they were learning, they didn't calculate or have a plan as to what they were going to do afterwards with the education, because they could be super smart, have all the education you could
be
want,
be
a good executor, but they don't have the plan in place to further
to get a vision
to
about
get where they're trying to go.
Yeah, and that's important to the welfare and well-being of you, is to know what you want. So if you haven't planned, how are you going to know what you want? You know what I mean?
And I also saw another thing that somebody was saying that, there's so many not oddball, but variant degrees that you can get that are kind of obscure, that not everybody, not every employer would look for. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So like, I'm not, naming any degrees that I'm not calling any degree bad. I'm just saying some are more unique than others. Some have a smaller job market than others.
Mm-hmm.
So with those especially, you need to be implementing a plan more than one that you could say had a greater availability of jobs, because you're going to have to support yourself somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So say you have a degree, okay, I don't know the actual statistics on this, but we'll just use this as an example. If it's completely wrong, don't flame me, but this is what I'm going to say.
Flame him.
Okay, we'll use art and business, okay? Now, we know in the United States, it's an industrialized, nation. There'd be plenty of business, degree opportunities to be had.
I would think there'd be a lot more art opportunities.
But
just
But what I'm saying is, with a business degree, you wouldn't necessarily have to have as well of a polished plan than you would with an art degree, because art might be a harder field to get into. There might not be as many jobs. It might be a more it might be a harder market to get into, is what I'm saying. So with those especially, you need to have a well thought out and polished plan, so that when the time comes for you to go into the workforce and get a job, that you can pay some of the student loan debt back.
Yeah, I like that. That was a very good example as to what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
So basically, what we're saying is, get yourself a plan, baby.
Be strategic.
Be strategic. Strategize
To carry out what you want.
Life
to
is
do.
like a game of Monopoly.
Yeah, you gotta be a strategic dude or gal, and do what you want to do. Plan, execute, get it done.
Boom. Execution is key.
No, since we're on this vein, I was talking about your values. I mentioned your values during that rant at some point. So I actually sat down and wrote down my 4 core values to my life.
Okay, let's hear 'em.
And how I present myself. So I really, really thought about these, and I'm going to explain each one. So the first one is philanthropy is my value: adventure, empathy, and wisdom.
Okay.
Those are my 4 core values, and I want to talk about each one. So what is philanthropy? Philanthropy is, I'm looking at the dictionary. It's
That's good. I actually didn't know the definition of it, so I was kind of glad you're doing that.
The desire to promote the welfare of your plan and others.
Okay.
So I talk a lot about empowering people, and like the way that I do that is to empower myself, provide myself with the experience necessary, the standards that are necessary to make myself the best I can be for others, for myself and others.
Yeah.
And so that is what philanthropy is just defining your cause and then serving that cause.
Okay. Yeah.
So
I gotcha.
That's one of my greater goals is to be a philanthropist for my cause. Adventure. I mean, you probably know what adventure is, but that's just the desire to go out into the unknown and discover things.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wrote down, I said, always be curious of the unknown and decisive in pursuing its mysteries. And so we talk a lot about getting out of your comfort zone, especially if you're depressed or anxious, because if you're in a comfortable known bubble and you're depressed and anxious, then you're really only finding anxiety and depression in that bubble. Go and adventure outside that bubble. So that's why adventure is one of my core values. And then empathy. So empathy is being able to like feel what somebody else feels. It's like when somebody hurts or is sad or is happy, you're able to understand and empathize with them. And so I also wrote, to understand unity amongst everything is to understand various and unlimited perspective. And so we talk a lot about, like, for example, people have hobbies that you've never experienced. Well, to gain perspective of why they like that is to be empathetic. As to like, you may not understand, but you have the ability to be like, oh, they're really into that. I know that they have a burning passion and desire for that, and that could be with anything, you know.
Yeah.
So understand others around you, and there's so much value in just gaining that very wide and broad perspective in life. And then of course wisdom, and so wisdom is a term that a lot of people don't understand. So wisdom is not knowledge. Knowledge and wisdom are two different things. Knowledge are the intelligence that you acquire over time. But wisdom is the combination of knowledge and experience. Knowledge by itself is kind of like theory without practice. It's like you can have all of this theory conceptualized in your mind and understand it, but if you don't like set the theory to practice, like what good is it? So it's like you can learn all these things, you can acquire all this knowledge, but if you are not doing things to implement and experiment with that knowledge, you will never gain any wisdom.
Yeah. There's a good example that you can tell me this is true, that I've heard before. It's like knowledge is, we'll use like an example. It's say you're having a discussion with someone and you have the knowledge to like counteract them or say something back to them that would like oppose them or something. But wisdom would be waiting, because you have the knowledge of what to say, but you're waiting for the time because you know it's not the right time. You know what I mean? Because like you've had the
knowing how to apply.
Yeah, it's
your
like
knowledge.
it's like you've had the experience and you know what to say, but you know when to say it too. It's like you don't, just because you know something doesn't mean you say it.
Wisdom is the transformation of knowledge, and the way that you transform knowledge into wisdom is through experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and wisdom is a much deeper, richer form of just understanding.
Yeah.
So, those are my values: philanthropy, adventure, empathy, and wisdom.
Yeah. Well, let's give the listeners a little homework session. So, a little homework session. So, once you guys, you get done with whatever you have to do, you can find some time. Write down 4 values that you think are important to your life and reflect on those. Think about those for a little while.
Yeah, be specific. Be specific with them, because if you're not specific with them and you just write down a single word, you don't get as much out of it. If you're more specific with it, you definitely have to challenge your mind and really think about what is important to you. The more you have to articulate it, the more you're going to understand why that's valuable to you.
Yeah, and I'm doing the same thing as well. I'm going to do the same thing as well, I should say. I've never written down 4 core values that I've had.
I'm giving that homework assignment to Will, and he's gonna give you his 4 core values on the next episode of the Casual Conversation podcast.
I'm digging that. I like that. So yeah, well, maybe you say, like, if you're like me, well, I've never done that before, I don't know what to do. Well, neither do I. Neither does anyone that's never done it. We just got to give it a try.
Give it a try, see what happens. And if you are so courageous to do so, reach out to me and Will with your core values. I'd like to hear what people value in today's world.
Yeah, for real. And we're not gonna shun any values. We're not gonna say any of your values are less important than ours. What's important to you is important to you, and what's important to us is important to us. Yeah. So it is what it is. Just let us know. We'd like to see.
Everybody has their priorities. We ain't hating on anybody.
Don't hate. Appreciate.
Well, man.
Oh, man.
That's about all I've got.
Yeah, that's about all I got. I got to clean the house.
You got somebody coming over?
Yeah, for dinner. My cousin and his wife.
You got to clean the house.
I got to clean the house.
Well, it's a wreck. I walked in the kitchen earlier.
Dishes in the sink.
Oh, my God.
Wait, for everyone out there, the single most important thing for a happy, calm, peaceful, loving marriage is the dishes. That's all I want to say.
No,
if you can agree to do the dishes, dude, I'm not even kidding. I guarantee you, a lot of marriages have been broken over dishes.
What? Oh my God, you're scaring me. You're scaring me.
We'll just do the dishes. Don't have to worry about it.
No, bro, I'm not worried about me doing the dishes. I'm worried about my future flame doing the dishes. She better
do the dishes.
No, bro. I do the dishes.
There you go. Don't have to worry about it. Anyway, that's all I got.
All right. Well, I guess you can find me on Instagram at GaryTheGreat96 and on Snapchat at Gary Gairy.
And you can find me on Instagram at Will_Pennington00 and on Twitter as TheScavenger23. And you can find us on Instagram at Casual Conversation Podcast. And on YouTube, our channel name is Casual Conversation Podcast. And I actually haven't been posting too many videos on YouTube. I kind of got behind again. So we still have a lot of ours on there, but we might not have all the most recent ones. If anybody's wondering,
we're gonna get to where we've got video, so we can give you live video of what we're doing. I know we said that for a while, but it really is our intention to get that up and running. Just work with us.
We actually recorded today's, but the camera died at the end.
Yeah, the camera died right at the end.
You probably heard it. It made a weird noise.
Yeah.
I thought the fire alarm was going off or something.
Anyways, we're making moves. We're gonna get another guest on pretty soon as well. We're working our magic.
Working the magic, baby. But that's all I got, man.
Until next time, Gary out.
Later.